Good day, America. Today is Saturday, July 27th, 2024, and this is a early intro into a new movement and group that we're starting called America, a Divided Republic, which is where we're at, sadly. We are now at the point of the U.S. being more divided amongst many different lines, than we've ever been. My name is Gary Brewster. I'm a 64-year-old U.S. Army vet. We are starting this group, and we are obviously going to have to get serious about this, ladies and gentlemen. This is the worst the Republic's ever been, and our enemies are laughing at us. They're having a blast. And they know that we're going to fall apart. We're going to delve into many topics here. I want to start by reading our mission statement, which is Americans employing the First Amendment proactively to unite and reverse the divisions that are destroying America. This is very important to me, and it should be to every American. We have to stop the internal fight. These intentional divides, these intentional strifes and fighting that people are doing to us is killing this nation. Meanwhile, we're becoming weaker by the day, week, month, whatever you want to believe. It's true. The dollar is weak. Inflation's killing us. With $35 trillion in debt, we're being taxed at a higher rate than at higher numbers than we've ever been taxed. Our government is not trusted. They're mocked. They're laughed at all around the world now. Nobody really fears us except for the fact that, thank God, we have a great military still. We have to come together, and we cannot be split along party lines. We are going to be asking people to help us with comments and suggestions, ways that you might want to bring up something that you feel is a big divide and how we can work through it. I'm a firm believer in identifying problems and then addressing those problems, thus the word proactive. I am not one to just sit and say, oh, well, it is the way it is and we're just going to have to deal with it and see what happens, because that is what the people that are our enemies want. Our motto is to unite against all enemies. That means foreign or domestic, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, there's 27 million or so American veterans out there and active duty service members, and we were all sworn to that oath to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign or domestic, whether on this soil, they might be in our own government, mainstream medium, other side medium that people are trying to do private. We have to find a way to make this work. It's us. It's our nation. It's our future. It's the future of our kids, our grandkids, our great-grandkids, and a bunch of generations after this, we hope. There's a lot of things we have to decide. Should we be coinciding with A, B, and C, and D? Do we have some of us have to surrender a little bit of ground in our divide and maybe get ground somewhere else? But we have to be. This not being able to talk to each other is astronomical. One of the biggest things I think everybody knows right off is, let's just say, for instance, the way that the last few weeks have developed and played out in politics. We have a presidential election coming up in November, and there's an attempted assassination on Donald Trump, which no one should be rooting for. No one. I don't care which party you are. I don't care at all. I honestly don't like either party. I think the two-party system is one of the biggest problems in our country, and especially now that they execute the will of the party and the will of the rich people paying them and the big lobbyists over our will. I think we have to get back to that, and we have to stop the madness of the corruption, the being lied to, the intentional misleading, misdirection. Everything from our education system on is completely out of whack. Breaking down the family unit, breaking down the church, breaking down the schooling. These are ways enemies write about how to have a nation, a country fall apart without ever having to fire a bullet. These are scary times when you think about that. We're at war, whether you want to say it or not. We're in the middle of the war in Ukraine and Russia. We're in the middle of the Israel-Palestine issue. We have people destroying property, government property, and statues and items in America without being held accountable. We somehow decide that it's okay to determine people aren't criminals to go and loot and break in and steal and shoplift and anything else. These things are destroying our country. We have a big issue about immigration. How is it pushing other American people out and away from the life that they need? How are we making Americans suffer when they're not? We have issues about who should be allowed to vote. We have issues that cover all sorts of kind of things in time to come. And many of these topics will be dealt in one video clip, one podcast. And these will be, we're going to start with the Facebook. We're going to start with a website, which we'll be announcing, and then sharing videos on YouTube. We're asking every person that watches to at least go get 2 or 3 more people. Get 5, 10 people. Let's get this thing moving. It's the only way for the majority to have a voice. So the First Amendment gives us that right. It preserved it forever. It's been watered down. It's been ignored. I've read a lot of good papers on it that I'll be bringing to you. Some really good people that work, professors in law schools and stuff, that will prove to you that that right was just slowly taken away from us, like many other rights. And so we're stuck in this day and age of, well, how do you petition for redress or grievance against the government? How do you have a voice against them? And it's not just protesting. And protesting is only constitutional and legal when it's done peacefully. But we used to be able to raise issues in Congress, in a courtroom. Try that today. Try a tort action against the United States of America. Try a civil case against the Democratic National Party or the Republican National Parties and see how far you get. But we may have to go those routes. And we may have to sit down with our congressmen in every district, in every state, and we may have to sit here and say, here's a petition. We got petitions all across the United States. Let's work on that. Let's work on it in that specific district. Let's find congressmen and congresswomen that are willing to listen to us. How do we end lobbyists? Lobbying is killing this country. Wall Street is so corrupt and crooked. I don't know how anybody can say that this is productive. Our spending not being backed by the gold dollar, the BRICS about ready to take over the dollar globally, and people go, well, how's that affect me? I don't care. I'll still be using the dollar. Yeah, you think you're going to be using the dollar. You think inflation's been bad these last 4 to 8 years. Wait till it comes around, and then, you're paying 8 to 25 times more for things now than you did 30, 40 years ago. It's out of control, people. So that's a lot of what we're going to be working on, and we're going to be putting information down below. We are going to be asking that everybody participate. I don't want this to become a war inside. We will erase and edit people that make statements that are inflammatory against any other group. We're not trying to create more divide. We're trying to get past that. We have to work together. We have to set aside our differences, and we have to realize what differences somebody else is creating to make us fight internally. A divided nation can never win. I'll give you a number that we talked about amongst ourselves here. More than 50% of the population in 25 different states has now raised the issue, and in polling said that they would consider seceding from the Union, from the United States. That's half the states. If you're an enemy to the United States, you got to be laughing. Well, there goes all their power. We cannot allow these things to happen. But what do we do if we can't get past our divides? What if you people are that hard-headed? What if Americans have become so set in stone that I'm a Democrat and I'm not going to listen to a Republican? I'm not going to listen to a Democrat because I'm a Republican. I love Donald Trump. I hate Donald Trump. I don't like Joe Biden. I don't like Kamala. I do like them. I think it's just time for them to be in power. Those are all our rights as citizens. What happened to having different opinions and being peaceful? What happened to that? Where did that go? It's okay to have different. That's why we have elections. Wait till you learn some of the things about our elections. We have to take elections back over. We have to make sure they're accurate. We have to make sure the right person is getting the right votes. We have to control these things as the people. It's our right. Some of these things are so etched in our founding that we're going to have to ask for constitutional amendments. And there is a process for that. And it starts by petition. So we're going to have to work together. But we have these tools that we never had before. Before 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we didn't have any social mediums. We had no means to communicate person to person across a broad spectrum or across the entire United States or anything. Think back to the 1700s when our founding fathers were trying to get together. They had to send message on horseback. Their newspapers, they're written in a small area and printed, had to be printed and shipped out. During the Civil War, the main issue was the telegraph and horseback again, because telegraph lines could be taken out too. So these are big issues. They have tools. We have to use them. We have to get that way and make a change before we just don't see how to get around America at all anymore. I was going to tell you that, you know, there's a lot of different things that need to be addressed. So what we're asking right off is that people put in comments via Facebook, our website, and all that. And if you go to Facebook for now, the rest of the stuff will be added and show you. YouTube, list the things that you believe are dividing this nation. List, just say it. You don't have to say it with animosity. You don't have to pick a fight with somebody else. Just say, I think our education system is sadly broken, that we're not teaching the kids the basics, and therefore we're going to be weakened every generation hereafter. It's easy. You know, I think this person in the political party is hell-bent on ruining our nation. You're allowed to say that. And you guys can put those comments out there, but then let's start talking about how to fix those things. If you have a recommendation, put in here, recommendation or issue. Whatever you're doing, let's start talking about them. All these brains, 270 million adults, 345 million Americans, surely can outsmart and fix the problems that we have. But we have to be a majority, and we have to be united. We have to be united against all enemies, whether they're enemies inside this country, whether they're people that we elected, that were appointed, or whatever else is going on. We cannot continue to be the laughing stock of the world. We cannot. We have to fix these things. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this out. I'm asking you to please keep up with us. We're going to invite you into the group, and just keep inviting your friends. Let's get people out there. Let's pull this together, please. I beg of you. This is our last chance for this country. Another year, 6 months, 4 months, who knows what we have. We have got to get this together. God bless you.